Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. It is Monday, and we are back with Mr. Greg Dickerson. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, Michael. Good to see you.
Nice to see you as well. So something I have started to talk about the last week, and I hope people are hearing me, is there's going to be amazing opportunity the next couple of years. Unfortunately, fear is standing between the person and the opportunity. I have this analogy. I want to see what you think. Opportunity is playing the game of hide and seek. Opportunity has chosen to hide behind fear. Most people can't look through, remove, or get fear out of the way, and thus will never find opportunity. I don't know if that's too simplistic. That just sounds crazy, but what do you think about this fear and opportunity being tied together?
Yeah, well, I mean, fear stops a lot of people, right? That's the first thing when somebody says, "Oh, I want to do something," and then if all of the reasons why it's not going to work pop into their head, too complicated, take too long, cost too much money. I don't, nobody will believe me. Everybody's going to whatever. That's fear. Any kind of a limiting belief, it all starts with fear. So it can definitely stop you. So the first thing you want to do is look at, well, who else has done whatever it is I want to do? And that's where you get proof and confirmation that if somebody else can do it, you can do it. And you just have to embrace it and step through it. And that's where opportunity lies. Opportunity lies on the other side of fear. Fear is the roadblock that stops a lot of people from reaching their goals and taking advantage of opportunities.
Yeah. I think this has always been true. Always been true. It's like, one of the rules that opportunity hides behind fear or through fear or whatever that is. I do want to acknowledge that in a world of social media, in a world of YouTube University, which you and I are both on with growing channels, there are channels that are preaching fear. There are channels growing at exponential rates because of fear. I want to strongly suggest to people that they block those channels for the next 2 years. We do not need help being afraid. And I wanted to know what you thought of that. What do you think of that?
Yeah, the shock factor. So, yeah, a lot of people use that because people are so in tune to it right now, especially what's going on in the market. So the other aspect of fear is fear in the markets. So where are the biggest opportunities? You be contrarian, you buy the fear, and you sell the relief, right? So you want to buy low, sell high, and the time to buy is when everybody else is afraid, everybody else is running. And I'll put it even easier. The time to buy is when everybody's selling. The time to sell is when everybody's buying. So those are the things. But yeah, there's a lot of people out there talking about housing crash and, depression and, economic Armageddon and all these different things and the Great Reset. And, that's always been, clickbait. It's always been an attractor. It's, the news uses it for headlines and they want to play on people's fears because that's where a lot of the attention is and a lot of the attention goes. And it's easy versus taking the other side of the equation, being opportunistic and, being positive and showing people, yeah, good times never last, bad times never last. There's always opportunities in every cycle, but it's okay to be aware of certain things. But at some point, some of that stuff becomes nonsense, right? Some of it just doesn't make any sense. Like there's YouTubers out there saying that if the markets right now break below certain levels, it's going to be depression, and that, I mean, 10 years of the worst economic cycles we've ever seen. And I just don't think that's realistic.
No, I do think again, YouTube University, the more and more I learn it, the more and more I feel like you and I stand out because we're just talking about reality. We're acknowledging that the bad time is here. Frankly, you and I said the bad time was coming. Now it's here. But as you have said, good times never last, bad times never last. Both are true statements. The fact that just in the last 48 hours, huge YouTube channels in our space are using titles about depression 2.0, that is pushing on fear. And this is what I want people to hear when I talk about fear being right here. You do not need help being afraid. You do not need help being afraid. Stop watching that. Understand, appreciate, acknowledge, but do the freaking work. Research, grow, network. There are going to be amazing opportunities. If you stay here looking at fear, you are going to miss the opportunity, just like everybody missed the last one and missed the last one and missed the last one. So this is a big deal for me.
Yeah. And those channels can't back any of that up with data. If you go back and look at what is a depression, 1920s, whenever that was, with soup lines and all those different things, jobs and whatever, there's twice as many jobs as there are people willing to take them. And a severe recession is not going to raise unemployment rate double digits, might get into the 6% range, maybe
Yeah.
8%, but it's not going to go 10, 20, 30 like it was in the Great Depression. I'm not sure that's even, I mean, anything's possible, but is that likely or probable? We've seen, in my time frame, so the 2009 Great Financial Crisis, everybody said, oh, depression. Pandemic 2020, everybody said depression. It hasn't happened. I don't know that that's probable. I don't know that it's possible, although most things are possible. Anything's possible, you say, but the economy is too big now. There's too much growth. There's too much, just basic, sustainment of life that creates enough economic activity to ever avoid anything like that again in this country. So I just don't see it, and they can't back it up with any kind of real data.
No, they're talking about it because they make a penny every time somebody watches their clicks, and they're doing 100,000 views. And yes, I'm a little jealous and hot and bothered by it. But again, I don't buy real estate. I buy real estate. I don't sell pennies at a time. So I think
Well, and
there's
it works
amazing
the other way too. A lot of people built big channels on saying everything's going to the moon, Bitcoin. There's a couple
Oh
of
yeah,
crypto YouTubers out there that built huge channels saying it's going to go to 500,000, it's going to go to a
yeah,
million.
a million.
Yeah, so it works both ways. People feed on, FOMO, and they feed on, well, which is fear, right? Fear of missing out. So people feed on those emotions going both ways, and it's a YouTube
Extremes.
trick. But let me tell you, anybody who's looking to build a YouTube channel, clicks are one thing, but clicks aren't everything. The worst thing you can do is have a great clickbait title and thumbnail, but when they click on the video, you don't keep them and retain their view. That's what kills your channel. When people click, watch, and stay, that's what builds the algorithm. That's what builds the channel, not thumbs up, not subscribes. That has nothing to do with the algorithm. The algorithm is, do you get their attention and can you keep it? So your title and your thumbnail better be backed up and substantiated with real quality info and data, or people are going to watch, and then you're just going to sink.
There you go. I just have conversations. That's
Yeah,
great.
that's what I do.
Good.
I just share what I know and what I've learned, and I'm not going to be right all the time. I'm not going to be wrong all the time. I just call it like I see it, and this is where we are, and we've got it right so far.
Yeah, well, you and I have been pretty close. It's been fun to watch. Again, I think we're heading in. Again, I have this macro kind of discussion. Macro, it's going to suck. 2023, in my opinion, Greg, actually, I'm going to ask you, this will be a question. I believe 2023 macro, worldwide macro, might be the worst economic year of my adult life. You and I are about the same age. Worse than the dot-com crash, worse than the Great Recession. Worldwide, I could see a worldwide recession. And so I think 2023 is going to be pretty yucky macro, but micro, Mike Zuber, Olivia, I think it's going to be great. We built the stack. We're going to get seller finance deals, low down payment. It's going to be a great year for us individually, but macro, it's going to kind of suck.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of risks out there from a global macro perspective. A lot of countries are, especially emerging markets, are in trouble, especially with the dollar going as high as it's gone and continuing its run. So, yeah, I mean, we're seeing some contractions in the market. We're nowhere near the biggest levels we've seen. We haven't reached 2009, even 2020. Market dipped 30-something% in 2020, dipped 50-something% in 2009. The .com, had some big contractions. So we're not at those levels yet.
No, we're down like 21%, I think, in the Dow or something. It's like barely a bear market.
In this country, we still have a huge, employment disparity. There's twice as many jobs as there are people willing to take them. Sure, we saw some negative GDP. It was minute. Sure, we've got super high inflation, which is putting a lot of pressure on a lot of people, and it's going to continue to weigh heavily. And that's why the Fed's doing what they're doing, because that's way worse than anything else. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. And of course, the war in Ukraine is a big issue. What China does is a big issue. The energy situations, that's huge. And we haven't gotten there yet. That's the big one I've been warning about, is energy coming into the fall and winter around the world, not only this country. And we've already been told, get ready for your electric bills to double this year, for a lot of different reasons. So yeah, there's a lot of risks out there still, a lot of headwinds that could really create some problems. But if some of these things resolve, if the war in Ukraine all of a sudden resolves itself, if China backs off and says, we're going to leave Taiwan alone for right now, some of those things could resolve themselves pretty quick. So,
yeah.
It could go
Yeah,
either way.
yeah, I think the next 6 months are going to be very interesting. Lots of divergence. Usually when you look at the economy, as long as I have, you have a general feel how the dominoes are set up with small variations. I have no idea where the economy will be in 6 months. No
I don't
idea.
either. I don't
Too
either.
many
Right
external
now,
factors. No
I don't know
idea.
where it'll be next week. I
Yeah,
mean, we are literally in this
yeah,
world
yeah.
right now
It's
with everything
crazy.
that's going on. We are week to week, month to month, quarter to
I agree.
quarter. That's why the Fed says we're data dependent. So we have to be the same way. But here's what I do know. No matter what, we will always come back. We will always rebound. We will always recover.
With that, folks, we're going to end this video because that is the positive note that I want to leave on. Greg, where can people find you?
Yeah, gregdickerson.com. Go check it out.
Thanks, buddy.